This is ThinkTech Hawaii. Community matters here.
Aloha. I'm Marcia Joyner, and this is Cannabis Chronicles. We are on a 10,000-year odyssey. For maybe more than 10,000 years, the plant, the hemp plant, has been with us for medicine, for religion, for food, for fiber, for anything that you can imagine for 10,000 years. And so we are learning about the plant. We are learning about all the different things that happen with the plant, how we can use it. And so this whole thing began that we can trace back to India and China, ancient India and ancient China. And so today we are going to visit with, and hopefully I don't screw up this name, and that is Malie Fuimaono.
Yes.
Po.
Yes.
And she is a advanced practice registered nurse.
Yes.
Yes. And she has a clinic in Malie
Yeah, the Malie.
Cannabis Clinic.
Yes.
And so, tell us all about you and your cannabis clinic.
So we were the first nurse-led cannabis clinic opened in the state of Hawaii. We just celebrated our 1-year anniversary on September 9th. Governor Ige signed legislation in July of last year allowing nurses to make recommendations, advanced practice nurses. So I'm a family nurse practitioner, and we base our clinic really on treating the patient as a whole patient. And also, I think one of the differences with nurses is that we are really strong believers in patient education and patient empowerment. And so I think that fits right along with cannabis.
So how did you get started in cannabis? Or is that along with your other nursing practices?
Yeah, so I think that me and nursing with cannabis, it's been a long time coming. I started my career working as an oncology nurse. I started in Kansas City, Missouri. It wasn't legal. There wasn't any cannabis use there. And then I relocated to California, and it was a medical state. I was still working in oncology then, and I really saw the impact that cannabis had on patients. I would be giving them medication like Decadron, Ativan, Zofran, everything to kind of help with their nausea. And it wasn't working. They would use cannabis, come back in and be eating and talking. And I really saw then the power that cannabis has to treat symptoms, but also to really improve patients' quality of life.
So that was while you were working in California? In
California, yes. So that was kind of the first time that I saw it used medicinally,
So now, tell us about the use medically. What does it do? Where do you begin with the process of treating a person? How do you know the dosage? How do you understand that if you have diabetes it's one thing, and if you have cancer it's something else, and so forth? Tell us the different paths.
Okay. So I think that when you talk about conditions, we really have to look at our state of Hawaii and the qualifying conditions that we have here. The number one condition that we treat, or symptom really, is chronic pain. It's the number one diagnosis or symptom I treat in my clinic and also statewide. So pain can be for a lot of different reasons. It can be arthritis, back pain, migraines, people who have a history of trauma, who, have pain from getting in a motor vehicle accident. A lot of different athletes. We see a fair amount of athletes who have had sustained injuries over their careers.
So now, okay, when we begin the process, and I come to see you and I say that I would like to, I think I want cannabis. I don't want any more of the oxycodone and all the other heavy drugs. I would like to try this. What are the steps?
Okay.
What would I do when I call? I see your ad, and it says, "Hey, this is somebody doing something. I think I'll try."
Mm-hmm.
So we call your office, and then what? What happens?
So it's basically a two-step process. So you fill out an online application with the Department of Health. For people who don't want to do it, we do it for you at our clinic as well, for no additional charge. And then you fill out basically kind of a health history form, a standard form that you would fill out at any other provider, whether it be physician or nurse practitioner's office. It just kind of gathers basic information. Have you had surgeries? What kind of medications do you take, et cetera? And then you come and see me. And when you see me, it's just basically a conversation. What I'm doing is certifying that you have a qualifying condition and that you've used other things to treat it. So for example, back pain. You fell down 5 years ago, you now have chronic back pain. So what I would want to know is, what have you done? Have you done any physical therapy, medications, and how often you have pain? So it's something along that lines. After I speak with you, if we can certify you, then we submit everything right then.
So you say, okay, this person, all right, Marcia, you have had this, and you are telling me the truth and
Right.
whatnot. Then you certify that to whom?
To the Department of Health.
And then what happens?
And then the Department of Health mails you your card, and it takes about 5 to 10 business days.
Oh, that's not.
Yeah.
So then, okay, now I have the card.
Yes.
Then what do I do?
So now you have the card and you're ready to go use cannabis. So right now we have one dispensary that's open in Oahu,
Mm-hmm.
2 in the state. So Aloha Green is the one that's open. We're actually located right above them. And so after you get your card, you bring your card to the dispensary. They basically just check, yes, you're Marcia, your card is valid, and you go back and you're able to see the different varieties of cannabis that they have. Right now, there's only whole flower cannabis available.
What does that mean?
So whole flower, I know. So a lot of people, there's a lot of different lingo in the cannabis industry. So flower is the bud. So it's the medicinal part of the cannabis plant that's most commonly used. The entire plant is used, but when people think about cannabis, they're thinking about, rolling a joint, and what you would typically use is flower, right? Oh. It's the cannabis flower.
Uh-huh.
So that's what's available now at the dispensaries.
And well, now I read that you can grow your own.
Yes.
Oh, it said 10, I think it is?
Yes.
10?
Yes.
10 what?
10 plants.
Oh, 10 plants, okay.
So
a
you plant is anything with a root.
Yeah. So you've got 10 plants and you're growing it at home, I suppose. I guess you'd have to, huh?
Well, or you can buy it from the dispensary.
No, but if let's just, the dispensary you said is on King Street, but you live in Haleiwa.
Right.
So you want to grow your own. So is it difficult to grow? Is it easy to grow?
Yeah.
I know it's a weed, but still, to get medicinal quality, is it a trick? I mean, what do you have to do to grow your own to make sure it's medicinal quality and not just something off the street?
Yeah, so I don't grow cannabis. So I would defer that to our many other growers in the state because I honestly don't know the answer to that.
Okay, but you can do if you know how.
Yeah, and
Are there people out there that would train you how to do this?
yeah, so there's several grow stores. Hawaii Hydroponics is located across from Kahala Mall, and they're a great local resource for cannabis growing in our state.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then you would actually have lessons into, well, where would you get the seeds?
Oh,
The
that's a
state,
great question.
the state says, okay, you can grow your own. Grow your own what?
Right.
Okay, now we've established it's a plant, but plants come from seeds. So where does the seed come from?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So you can actually obtaining seeds in the state of Hawaii is not illegal. It's allowed. A lot of people, if you have friends that are growers, they get it that way. But there's also several online retailers.
Oh, so you can buy it online.
Yeah. But again, I'm not a grower, so I couldn't keep a cactus alive. So
it amazes me when the state says you can do this, and then they just leave you on your own to figure that out.
Right. Yeah.
And if I've got back pain and I'm really suffering, and there's only this one dispensary, and it just seems inconceivable that I have to do this.
Right, yeah. Which is, it's understandable, but I think that one of the reasons why we got the dispensary was for exactly what you're saying. Patients, basically, they were able to get a card, but then it's like, okay, here's your card, go grow cannabis. Not everybody has a green thumb. So the dispensaries being open is huge, and we're so thankful that they're here.
Yes, I went to the press conference when they opened, and the line went around the block.
Yes.
Yes, and I thought, oh, the restaurant next door is making out.
I know, and the snack shop.
So we have to take a break, and we will be back in a minute, and then we will talk about the origins of cannabis. Okay?
Okay.
This is ThinkTech Hawaii, raising public awareness.
You can be the greatest, you can be the best, you can be the king come banging on your chest. You can beat the world, you can beat the war, you could talk to God, go banging on his door. You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock, you can move a mountain, you can break rocks, you can be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you can find yourself. Standing in the Hall of Fame, and the world's gonna know your name.
And we're back. And I am here with May, and I'm going to screw up your last name again, but she has Malie Cannabis Clinic. And we are learning all about cannabis, because I am a newbie and that's why we are called Cannabis Chronicles, because we've got 10 years to cover. So here we are. Tell us about, first of all, May, pronounce your last name properly.
Oh, so it's Me Fui Maono Po.
Is that Samoan or Tongan?
Yes, Samoan.
Samoan.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, tell us about the history of cannabis. We know a little about it in that it began, or at least the Bible talks about
Yeah.
cannabis So tell us about, this is a weed. Tell us about it.
So cannabis is one of the oldest cultivated plants known to mankind. We as humans have evolved alongside this plant. That's why we're hardwired. We have an endocannabinoid system, so we're hardwired to use this plant because so millions of years, first grown in China. That's also where they first wrote about the medicinal properties.
And so that we have grown, or our bodies and the plant have grown together.
Yeah.
So that Mother Nature, in its infinite wisdom, in its design center, created this weed, this plant
Yes.
that can grow anywhere
Yes.
for us to nourish our bodies.
Yes.
And so we can eat, drink, make stuff with it, do whatever we want to do with it. So the plant itself
Yes.
has so many uses.
Mm-hmm.
What else? We know it's hemp,
Yes.
and that can be used for, 30,000 different other things.
Yes. Yes. And I think it's easiest for hemp just to be food, fuel, fiber, and medicine.
Yes, that's enough.
And that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a
That's
lot.
a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And then in the same plant, there's cannabis,
Yes.
and then there's a hashish.
Hashish
hashish.
is made from cannabis. So hashish is actually a concentrate. It's a cannabis concentrate. So
So all of this comes from the same plant.
the same plant, different varieties.
Different varieties, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the trick is knowing the different varieties.
Yeah, so I work most commonly with, cannabis indicas and cannabis sativas, which is a variety of cannabis. But the ruderalis plant is the most common kind of hemp plant that's grown commercially. So
And so now there are different, I guess in modern days, they're planted different at different places. The three different things, or does it all come from one plant and it's just the way you harvest it?
Oh, okay. So that's a great question. So kind of what's the difference between hemp plants that are grown for more commercial, industrial
Right.
reasons versus plants that are grown more medicinally?
Mm-hmm.
So the medicinal plants, I always like to frame things in ways that people can understand in plain language. So I think one of the easiest ways to know the difference is that the female plant, the one that produces the flowers, is the one that you use for medicine. So it's the female cannabis plant. The male, and then the hemp plant, it's just a different species. It's like peppers, it's like jalapeno peppers, green peppers, same family,
Right.
but just a little bit different.
So it's the female plant that has the flowers.
Right.
And if you mix them, let's say you're planting the hemp here and the cannabis here, do they cross-pollinate?
So they would, yeah. They can cross-pollinate. A lot of people that grow medicinal cannabis grow it from clones. So unless they're breeding, which is a whole other science. Yeah, which we don't have to get into, but yes, they can cross-pollinate. So typically that's why you see people who grow medicinal cannabis, they use clones and they use feminized seeds for female plants. Because medicinally, that's what you want. You want the flower. You want the female.
Well, that makes sense.
Right. So getting back to kind of the flower conversation, it starts to kind of click in your head.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
And so if you have if I have a card and I say you can grow 10 plants, which the thought of that is just boggles my mind, that I would have to find a female clone from somebody?
Or
Is
a
that
feminized seed.
a feminized seed. and whoever's selling them would know the difference.
Correct. Yeah, they sell.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully they know the difference.
Yeah.
So if someone says, I bought some and it was full of seeds, what did they buy?
So they've probably bought cannabis that had gotten cross-pollinated, or one of the plants was a male plant. And you use male plants again for breeding. And that's when you see a lot of hybrid, like you hear a lot about a hybrid strain, and that's how they're created. And that's why strains have all of these different names. Like you'll hear Gorilla Glue, Girl Scout cookies. And it's because people have bred the plants for certain traits that they want expressed.
Oh, so you can go to the store and all of these things are for sale?
Yes. So right now, I think at Aloha Green, the one that's open, I think they have like 4 or 5 different varieties or strains. And varieties of cannabis, they have different cannabinoid profiles, so different types of cannabinoids and also different flavors.
Oh,
Pretty interesting.
is it edible flavors?
No, just the flower and the plant itself. In the same way that a rose smells different from a pukake,
Yes.
it's the same in the cannabis family. Different varieties and different strains will have different smells and flavors and textures. So.
Oh, well that's because, and they grow theirs?
They do. So everything in Hawaii is a vertically integrated system. So that means that it's seed to sale. So everything is grown, manufactured, all by and sold by the dispensaries.
Oh, so they take the growth product to the laboratory.
Yes.
And then the laboratory sends it back. Is that
Correct.
Is that the path?
Yeah.
So they would have, my goodness, that's they have to have experts in the growth process.
Yes.
And then to the lab to make sure that there's no heavy metals and contaminants and pesticides and mold.
Yes.
Then back to the sale.
Then yes.
Oh, okay. No wonder it costs so much.
Yeah, and it's seed to sale, and really you have to look at the value of what you're getting, because you're getting cannabis that's lab tested. You know exactly what's in it.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I saw a horrible, horrible piece on YouTube where a man bought something and he bought the cannabis and it had mold in it.
Oh yeah.
And he died an awful death. And that kind of scared me because I was feeling rather blasé about this whole thing until I saw that.
Yes.
And I think that one scared me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my. And especially in our climate, and the thought of growing your own in this climate, mold grows fast.
Yeah, it does.
So I guess that's what scared me about the thought of growing.
Right.
And I hope there's classes out there for people to learn how to grow their own.
Yeah.
I hope. I'm going to look to see if there's somebody doing that, because we need to talk to them.
Yeah.
And find out. As we're calling, this is Chronicles, Cannabis Chronicles, and we have 10,000 years of growth and things to talk about and see what is going on with that whole industry, and it's just booming.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, we only have a minute or two left. Yesterday, at the governor's office, they talked about this new process with the money thing.
Yes.
And your smartphone. So do you understand how that works?
Yes.
Good.
So it's CanPay. So CanPay is located in several other legal states, Colorado, I believe Colorado, Washington, and now in Hawaii. So basically, you download their app, and it sends you a little QR code. So it's like Apple Pay, but for the cannabis industry. And it comes directly out of your bank account. So if you don't carry cash, it's just an alternative, but they're still going to take cash. So they'll just be able to take both now.
Oh, so that makes the transaction safer.
Yeah.
Because you don't have anybody waiting outside to...
Yeah, so you have cash.
Yeah.
So you can, I'm sorry, you can use can pay and cash.
And now, can they pay you with can pay?
They can pay me with credit cards,
Oh.
Apple Pay, PayPal. You can use
Any-
anything because
'cause-
I don't sell cannabis. I don't sell the actual product.
So it's only
It's
only with the cannabis transaction.
Correct. It's only people that sell cannabis that contains THC.
THC is
So it's the only it's a cannabinoid, and it's the only psychoactive cannabinoid out of the 100 known cannabinoids. And THC is what they do the drug testing for, and it's the cannabinoid that gives you the euphoria or the high. So it's the kind of demonized cannabinoid. But any product that has THC, if you sell it, you can't use Square, MasterCard, or Visa, or anything like that.
because of the federal.
Because of the federal government.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Mae, this has been a wonderful afternoon, and please come back because there's so many more questions.
Yes.
And it's been a real pleasure. And again, you are located.
So we are located in the Interstate Building, 1314 South King, Suite 1663, right by Lobster King and right above Aloha Green.
So, thank you again.
Thank
It's been a
you.
real pleasure. Aloha, and we'll see
Aloha.
you next week.